now we will hear like audio of one of the leaks of Jeffrey Epstein. So the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak is talking to Jeffrey Epstein. And we will hear this video, this audio, and then we hear your comments on it.
I believe we have to break the monopoly of the Orthodox rabbinate on marriage and funerals and whatever, and the definition of ritual, and accept, open, in a sophisticated, subtle manner, open the gates for massive conversion into Judaism. It's a successful country. Many will apply at the beginning without making it, cannot make it a precondition, but under the social pressure, the need, especially of the second generation, to adapt, it will happen. And we can control the quality much more effectively than our ancestors or kind of the founding fathers of Israel did with the wave, that it was a kind of salvation wave from North Africa, from the Arab, or from whatever. They took whatever came just to save people. Now we can be selective. And I think that with much more open kind of mind about turning Jew, we can easily absorb another million. I used to tell Putin always, what we need is not just 1 more million. It changed Israel in a dramatic manner, the million Russians. And I think that many will prefer to be Belarusian, or many young, handsome girls will come, tall, skin.
Look, what Barak is saying to him, more or less in those words, when our fathers were inviting Jews from Arabia and other parts of, the Mashriq and the Maghrib to come to Israel, they were not selective. This is the word he is using.
He said salvation wave.
Yeah.
It was salvation wave.
There was nothing salvation about it. I mean, we just discussed this. This destroyed their life. It wasn't salvation. And he knows the truth, but he's a liar. So he's saying that they saved the Arab Jews. They never saved anyone. They destroyed society after society. And one of the first societies they destroyed is the Jewish Arab society in so many countries. They removed them, they oppressed them, they took their identity away, and they gave them nothing in return. And one of the important things that Ashkenazi Jews built is the army. Now, obviously, this is what my book is about. In a militarized society that Israel was, like, say, Prussia, in a society which is built around the army, which the army is the most important institution in the society, you are not in, the jobs are kept for us, for the elite, in other words, the officers' jobs. And, for many, many decades, Arab Jews were cannon fodder. You know that expression? Yeah. They were cannon fodder. They were there as infantries. Yeah. I was in a unit, I was an officer in a unit that was mainly Arab Jews. Yeah, all the officers were Ashkenazi, all the soldiers were Arab Jews.
So for this, you're differentiating now Arab Jews and Ashkenazi. So how do you see, or what is your comment when he has said to control the quality?
Exactly.
So he said that we will ask Putin to send us 1 million, and then we can control the quality. So
What
he's
he
talking
means by
about
that?
he's talking about Arab Jews, and then he wants some Russians to convert to Judaism, and then to control the quality. How do you see this?
Well, of course,
from
he's
a
a
prime
racist.
minister?
He's a racist.
Not a prime minister.
Well, he was a prime minister, but he was many other things. But he's a racist. So for him, an Arab Jew cannot ever be equal to someone from Europe. Never. It's like a white racist thinking about someone black. It doesn't matter how much education they will get, that racism cannot be very easily eradicated. So Barak is one of the most racist people in Israel, and always was. And he thinks himself to be a European, but actually he would get nowhere in Europe. I mean, his English, he doesn't know any other language. English he doesn't definitely know. And yet he thinks he's an elite person. And he thinks that people like him are what we want. So it doesn't matter that they're not Jews, those people he wants from Putin. He will convert them to Judaism, but they come from what he thinks of as Europe. Of course, Europeans don't think of Russia as Europe because they are also racist, and for them, the Russians are, So when you come to race, everyone has his own, type of racism. Yeah. For the Poles, the Ukrainians are Europeans, but the Russians are not. This is totally mad. Yeah. So what he says is our fathers could not get the right kind of people, the quality, but we can. We can buy 1 million Christians from Putin and convert them to Judaism.
And the beautiful girls.
Exactly.
Thin,
tall. Yeah. So it's not only racist; he's also sexist, of course.
Yeah.
So he's got all the good qualities of an Israeli. So what we are talking about are people that are not at all aware. I don't think he's talking to Epstein. Yeah, for God's sake, Epstein was the most sexist and probably also most racist person. So they agreed on all those points. And he thought that he's very brilliant coming up with this plan of converting 1 million Christians into Jews in order to change the balance between Europeans, called Ashkenazis, and Arab Jews, called Mizrahis. Yeah? This is his idea, an idea of a racist, of improving society. It's terrifying. It really is disgusting. It is so wrong, I don't know even where to start. But when you are reading people like Barak, then you realize what Israel is. Do you see what I'm saying? Israel is such a racist society. Otherwise, how can you explain what they did in Gaza? How is it possible from people that suffered from racism in Europe themselves? They were killed because Hitler thought that they are, less than human beings. Those people are now killing Palestinians because they are less than human beings. I mean, this is a terrifying thing for anyone that looks at the situation properly. But this is Israel. Israel is a racist apartheid state that is not just against the Palestinians, but against all Arabs. And that's why they're against Arab Jews. Yeah.
Okay, and the same, yeah.
So, the Arabic as a language is down. Arabic as a culture is down for them. They don't know anything about it. They don't know about Arabic culture. They don't know about Islam. But they know that they are better. Yeah. So most Christian Islamophobes also treat Arabs like that. Yeah. Europe is full of Islamophobia. Israel is not special in that sense. What is special about Israel is they think they have a right to kill anyone.
And in this regard, we stay in this league, in this video, 1 minute video, as we are academic forum. And from your respectful experience as a scholar, if a student, university student, wants to take this 1 minute and to analyze it, to take it for a course at the university, and maybe they will be afraid to be called in the class anti-Semite, because here a prime minister, they are analyzing his words like what you have analyzed right now. Which advices do you give to students? Most of our viewers are students and scholars. How to start, how to be brave. And as you know, Professor, people, they have right to be afraid. But how can we tell them to do something in scientific way, in academic way, like this?
First, they have to realize that there is no real link between Judaism and Zionism. Judaism is a rich tradition, which is not just a religion.
You mean for the students, they have to differentiate between Judaism,
Jews and Zionism.
And Zionism. So in this case, when they analyze a text or a leak like what we have heard right now,
they have to think who is speaking. For example, Judaism is what I said. Zionism is two things, just two things. An apartheid state, which is a settler colonial project, which has an apartheid ideology, like South Africa at the time. In other words, a racist ideology. It's a combination of racist ideology and colonial practice, settler colonial practice. This is what Zionism is. It's not one or the other. No, it's always the two. So what it means is that it's racist in theory and it's racist in practice. Some countries have a very open theory, but a very racist practice. For example, the United States. They have a constitution which is very good. They have, all kind of machineries to keep the constitution intact. And yet the practice is, we know, Americans are the people who destroyed the people of North America. Destroyed 20 million people. This is one of the biggest genocide. They destroyed all the people of Mexico and so on. So some of those countries have a good theory and a terrible practice. And some the opposite. Zionism is both. Both of those things are very, very damaging, very racist. There is nothing to justify there, okay? I'm speaking as an Israeli Jew. There is nothing to justify there. So this is where students are advised to look. Who is speaking? When we look at that 1 minute, or it's actually 3 minutes or so, when we look at that, we think, first of all, who is speaking? A sexist? You made the point, yeah? All these nice girls.
Tall, thin.
Yeah. A racist, because he's talking about quality and saying that the quality of the Arab Jews was very poor and now we have to improve it and we have to take them from Russia, which for him is white and for him is Europe. Yeah. So who is talking? A racist, a sexist. He wants to change them into Jews. In other words, he doesn't think that Jews and non-Jews are equal. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So he is now treating the question of quality through racist machineries, racist theoretical machinery. In order to qualify to live with us, Israelis, they have to change their religion, because we will not live with people who are not Jewish, because we are racist. So, and you, from that you understand why they hated the Arab Jews, because the Arab Jews lived with non-Jews every day of thousands of years, yeah? They lived with non-Jews, and they had no problems with them. So, if you listen to the language and analyze it, and think who is speaking, that is a very good start. And the other start is, what is the project about? What is he suggesting? Well, he is suggesting that in order to replace Palestinians and Arab Jews, which are not good enough, he is going to bring people from another country with no connection to Palestine to take it over with him, yeah? Well, this is a mad project. This is an illegal, immoral project, you know, yeah? So that's the way I treat that short text. Who is speaking? What does he want to do? What method he wants to use? All three are wrong. And, you know, you don't justify that. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You're talking about how he treats women, you're talking about how he treats Arabs, you're talking about how he treats Christians, he treats them all the same. They are all wrong. Yeah? The women are just sex objects. The Arabs are bad quality. The Russians that he will bring are all wrong because they're not Jewish. Yeah? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah? There is nothing which is perfect apart from an Israeli Jew. And you know, we'll have to make Israeli Jews out of them. So this is a social engineering, deluded, incredibly idiotic project in order to replace people that he still thinks after 70 years are not Israeli enough, are not European enough, are not good enough, are not quality, and the women are not tall enough and not thin enough. Yeah, how many ways can we actually look at this? Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
And I want to say something about the army, because we started and didn't continue. The army, which is what my book is about, is the most important, and in many ways the only important institution of Israel. And as such, what he is referring to when he talks about quality is that he was chief of staff of the army before he became prime minister. Now, of course, to be chief of staff in any army is the highest you can get. Because after you've been a chief of staff, you have to leave the army, because you've done everything from the bottom to the top. Yeah, that's what an army does. So he has been that, and then to advance, he can only become prime minister, which is he has done. So for him, this is very important, because not a single Arab Jew did that. Do you see what I'm saying? Not a single Arab Jew followed him, either before or after him, as chief of staff. And not only as chief of staff, or even as general. I mean, Mizrahi Jews did not make generals until a few years ago. And those generals are treated badly by the European generals. Because, of course, the army can only be racist if it's part of a racist society. So if I describe the way that Arab Jews were treated in the general society, they were treated exactly the same in the army. So if somebody was gifted, they wouldn't help them to get up in the army. No, they would stop them from, exactly like with black people in the United States. But United States, we had Colin Powell, we had all kind of very high risen generals, yeah, because it's a bigger country and it has a longer history and it has a constitution. You know, we talked about that. But this is not the case in Israel. The control that this elite had, and I'm not saying they still have it, was total. It was total. It was like a cabal, you know, a group that controls everything in society. I went through that. So what he wants for his new army, he wants the people that from Putin, yeah, because these are not good enough.